So Toni is our next speaker, who comes to us from, you're in New Zealand, aren't you, Toni? It's all right, she's on mute.
I am in sunny New Zealand at the moment.
How is New Zealand doing at the moment, seeing as they're on complete lockdown rather than just the sort of watered down version we have?
Yeah, it's okay where we're at because we live in a beautiful place. I feel bad for anyone stuck in the cities at the moment, but we're out in the mountains and enjoying every day. But yeah, New Zealand's, I feel like they're doing the right thing, and it's pretty locked down. And yeah, it's the wait and see game.
No worries. All right, so this is going to be a good talk as well. I've heard lots of people sort of tweeting about this one for a couple of days. So Toni is a snowboarder turned software engineer turned security consultant. And in quotes, you don't need to be a woman to support women in tech. And she's going to be talking to us about some of the experiences that Burton Snowboards had in trying to bring women into their leadership team. So I will... we'll just wait for your screen to completely come up because it's black at the moment on mine. It did take a few minutes on the test run we did as well. There we go. Perfect. So, Toni, it's all yours.
All right. So used to a live audience. This is a bit strange, but we'll go for it. Kia ora tātou, ko korowai te manga, ko kawai te awa, to tawera aho, ko James toko whānau, to Toni toko ingoa, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. So yeah, I am Toni James. That's my Twitter handle. If you want to come follow me, I tweet, basically I retweet a lot of things that are about diversity and hiring, especially now in COVID-19 days. And then talk about my dogs as well. But yeah, I'm here to talk to you about snowboarding, right? Because why isn't snowboarding at a security conference? It should be. This is me on top of Shadow Basin at the Remarkables in New Zealand. I spent about 15 years in the snowboard industry. My husband's actually still in the ski and snowboard industry, so I'm not too far away, thankfully. And a lot of people think that when you work in the snowboard industry, it's just you get to ride all day. And you do get to ride a lot. Definitely, it's a benefit for sure. But, you know, we get the cord before you do. And, you know, we get the powder before you do. This Wolf Creek, Colorado.
Sorry to interrupt, Toni. Your slides aren't changing at the moment.
All right, let's go back.
You're on mute.
There we go.
We go.
That's one change. Fantastic.
All right. So that's me on top of Shadow Basin Remarkables. I have to show these because everyone who loves snowboarding is missing out right now. Some corduroy on Mount Hutt, some powder in Colorado. But really, snowboarding is, when you're in the snowboard industry, it's all about people. It's not very much about snowboarding, and can relate to many other industries. And a lot of what we did in the snowboard industry was basically take people who were scared, who had a tremendous amount of fear, and introduced snowboarding to them and introduced a passion and a love for the sport. And that's really what my job was. But this was also my job. That was my office in Copper, Colorado for quite a few years. You can see the old monitor on the desk. And I was in a leadership position for a long time in the ski industry, and I was able to initiate a few changes, which I'm really proud of. But I was a 20-something snowboarder woman, and most of the management team were 40, 50 plus in age and grew up skiing and had quite a prejudice against snowboarding. So they were in complete fear of me because I represented everything that they didn't like. And this talk is, you know, about keeping kick-ass women in tech. And basically to keep kick-ass women in anything, you need to provide for them, right? You need policies. you need to provide reinforcement. I can sit there and I can say I'm a kick-ass woman, but I can do that because my entire life I've had people telling me I'm a kick-ass woman, and that I am that not only am I a kick-ass woman, but I'm a kick-ass woman because of this. They've given me reasons X, Y, Z. And that doesn't mean I don't have imposter syndrome, because I have imposter syndrome on a daily, sometimes basis, weekly basis. But luckily I have a lot of people and a lot of support around me that are constantly reinforcing this fact that I am a kick-ass person, and I can get through it. So if you know a kick-ass woman, then tell them. Because with a promotion, a woman will give you 5 reasons why she's not ready, and a man will give you 5 reasons why he should have had that job yesterday. And yes, this is generalizing. I know that this talk is about kick-ass women, and it will be a bit generalized. And that was from Donna Carpenter in 2019. And Donna Carpenter and Jake started the snowboard company back in the 70s. Jake is known as one of the inventors of snowboarding, of the snowboard in general. And him and his wife Donna started this company. And originally, when this company has grown massive, there's over 1,000 employees. It's an international company. It is still privately owned, which means that they actually can initiate a lot of programs without going through the board or without worrying about shareholders. And they really care about company culture. And when the snowboarding industry started, it was actually equally pioneered by both men and women. Back in the day, there were, it wasn't dominated by men. And it was a place for, the surfers and the skaters, the punks and the rebels, and, it was something that they could do. And it was in fact banned by many resorts. And it was a lot of the effort that Jake and Donna put into contacting resort owners and getting them to allow snowboarding at their resorts, to actually, explain to them, look, this is what the youth want. If you want to grow your business, you need to accept snowboarding. So they did that. And then in 1998, the Olympics, in Nagano Olympics, had one of their new sports was snowboarding half pipe. So all of a sudden, snowboarding was on the international stage, and it was absolute boomtown. Everybody thought snowboarding was the coolest thing in the world, and everybody wanted to be a snowboarder. And at this time, even one of the gold Olympic medalists actually lost his medal, got disqualified because he tested positive for marijuana. So again, it was just one of those things that just proved that snowboarding was just for, the rebels and punks and everybody that wanted to basically jump on a snowboard and go. But during this time, as Burton grew to this massive company, they grew really fast, and they pulled from all these industries. They had to pull from ski and surf and other similar cultured industries, but they were all really male-dominated industries. They all had male-dominated culture. So then all of a sudden, Burton has a male-dominated industry. Snowboarding has a male-dominated industry. In fact, back in 2003, Jake walked into a leadership meeting at Burton, and he looked around the room, 25 people in the room, and he saw 2 women. So less than 10% of the leadership team was women. And he basically walked out of that meeting and said, oh poo emoji, to be kind, and realized that they have a problem. There's no way you can be a successful, innovative, and world-leading company if you're not including 50% of the population. So at the time, his wife, Donna, who was also a co-founder and co-owner of the company, had taken some time out and raised, their kids. And Jake basically said, I need you back. I need you to be here. I really feel like this is something that you can help with. I need you to make a difference. So Donna was like, sweet, I'm coming into this. I've got a plan. I've got something to focus on. This is what I'm going to do. So Donna started the Women's Leadership Initiative, and it's something that's still going today. So it started back in 2002, 2003, still going today. And basically it's what ended up happening the very first meeting is Donna got the entire, all of the women in the company that existed, got them all together, and we're like, what's the problem? What do we, we don't have enough women. Why? How do we get here? What do we need to fix? What do we need to do? And so they decided they got together and they got all these goals. And they decided to write down some short-term opportunities to increase women's leadership and the long-term things to work on, because nothing changes in a night, but there's some things you can focus on straight away. And there's some things that you can plan for. And it hasn't stopped. It's a continuous process. This is still going along today, and it continues to iterate along the way. But they decided to focus on 3 things: the family, mentorship, and recruitment. And it's important to note here that there were many things that they concentrated on, but these were the 3 that actually have some measurable and actionable results. So in regards to family, when she talked to the women in the company, none of them could see themselves in the company for more than 5 years. It was as soon as they wanted to have a family, they left the company. There was no pathway to keep them in the company or get them back to the company. So unfortunately, women would come in, and very similarly to tech, and have that kind of 5-year goal, 5-year kind of tipping point, and then leave. And this is similar to a lot of industries that don't actually cater for women having families. So family, they decided in the States, they don't have paid paternity and maternity leave, and it's up to companies to do that. So Burton was like, sweet, yep, this is what we can do. We can absolutely initiate paid maternity, paternity leave. And so first job done. Company offered paid leave with job guarantees. But then going from a stay-at-home mom to 5 full working days a week, speaking from experience, is really hard. So they created flexible working days with reduced hours that were managed on an individual basis and depending on your circumstances. And then they also offered paid childcare. So under 18 months, if you had a child under 18 months, a lot of the jobs within Burton meant a lot of travel, but they would actually send a caretaker with you so that you could still be with your child, you could still do your job, and you'd have someone there to help provide for you. If your children were over 18 months, they provided paid childcare. So they had a childcare center set up within the company. So with these actions, women could now see themselves working for the company for 5 years, and much more than 5 years, because there weren't a lot of other companies in the US doing this. They also started the mentorship program. So there's 2 sections of the mentorship program. One was the grassroots, which is a program for everyone. That was completely organic. It matched you up with someone slightly more senior than you, and it could last a month, it could last years. It was completely up to the participants of the program, but it did provide someone outside of your management track that you could talk to. And then the other thing they offered was a senior management fixed term mentorship. And so anyone that were in the first tiers of management would be able to get 6 months mentorship with a director or above, and help them get further along in their management roles. What they ended up seeing is in 2 years, over 62% of the women that participated in these programs either were promoted or were moved into a line of business that better suited their goals, because they were able to talk about what they wanted to get out of the company with people outside of their management track. So the other thing that happened, which is kind of funny, is all the guys in the company were like, hey, this is amazing. Like, we want this. So they actually, after 2 years, decided to make it a company-wide initiative, and everyone could be part of the mentorship program. And I know from my own experience, I have several mentors that are men. I don't have a lot of women mentors, but I do like the perspective of both. So they made it completely co-ed, And it's another example of how something which started to benefit women ended up benefiting the entire company. And they also focused on recruitment. So the 3 tiers of the recruitment process were getting more women on the mountain, improving their new hiring process, and the one-woman policy, which I'll get to at the end. So they realized they were doing recruitment all wrong. They realized they were making marketing completely for men and not taking input from women. They were posters, and I completely remember this. There were posters of men dropping 30-foot cliffs and hitting 60-foot kickers, and you know, something that when I looked at that, I was like, no, I'm gonna hurt myself. I cannot do those things. And they realized, you know, like men look at it and be like, heck yeah, I want to be able to do that. That's awesome, fantastic. But you know, a woman looks at it and is like, nah, I guess snowboarding's not for me. So they actually changed all of their marketing. It used to be taking a men's product, a board, a jacket, pants, anything. And their whole motto was take men's product, pink it, shrink it, and women will want it. And then that failed abysmally. No women wanted it. It didn't fit right. It didn't look right. No one cared for it. So they wanted to get more women on the mountain. And they decided to start with a change in marketing. They had more photos of women hitting rails and doing wall rides, you know, having fun snowboarding. And I thought, yeah, that's achievable. I can do that. Snowboarding is for me. So I remember this time quite vividly. And they also created a women's learn to ride program, which I was able to work on through my time at Copper Mountain, which was designed to teach women snowboarding. And it was designed by women and taught by women. And eventually, again, it's another program that opened up to be co-ed. It didn't matter if you're being taught by a female coach, a male coach, whatever. But the fact that you actually got to learn with a group of women was for some women is a much needed and safer environment. And it did get more women on the mountain. Participation during that program went from under 20% to over 35% in 3 years. So that was pretty fascinating. And then the other thing they did to get more women on the mountain is they created women only ride days for the company. So there would be a day where all the women went and rode for a day. Which actually had dual purpose, had two purposes. One is when I go and I ride, whether it's snowboarding, mountain biking, whatever, when I ride with a lot of other women, I feel way more empowered. I feel like I can try new things. I don't feel as judged. And, I feel like I can have fun without having to be the best representation of my gender all the time. So, you get really empowered and have a good time. And also it left the entire company to run for a day without any women. And they actually learned like, hey, this is actually kind of hard. They realized the value that women add to their team. And then when it comes to the hiring process, we know about this in tech, right? Unconscious bias. You hire people that look like you. You hire people you can relate to. And, this is exactly what was happening within Burton. You're just hiring the same person over and over again, and you're not getting any diversity in your hiring. So the people that were hiring also weren't necessarily women. So there weren't any women in the room hiring for other women. So Burton proactively sought women candidates and better trained their managers to hire women. So this means that they actually worked on their unconscious bias. They put women in the room and they made sure that they were always promoting women within the company. And again, yes, they're focusing on women, but in the end, and overall, this made it better, the entire company better. Now in Burton, 50% of their new hires are women. And agreed, this is not necessarily something that tech can achieve tomorrow, but it is achievable. So yeah, another quote from Donna, let's be honest, it can be frat boyish, but I knew adding more women would change the culture of our company. It has, and they're very successful because of it. When you have a good, diverse range of people within your company, it makes culture, you have culture for the better. And getting back to the leadership team, in 2000 to 2003, the leadership team, which was less than 10% women, they're like, what are we gonna do about this? And basically they initiated the one woman policy. And this means that for every single job, and definitely a controversial approach, but for every single management and hire job, there had to be a female finalist for every leadership position they were looking to fill. If they didn't have a female finalist, they had to go out and find one. It was their job to have the best candidates possible. And as Donna says, if you have two equally qualified candidates, chances are you're going to end up hiring a woman 50% of the time. So in the end, their leadership team is now 50% women. And it's really important that, you know, we differentiate the fact that Burton is a snowboard company. They are a retail company, and a lot of the people they're selling to are women. So they want to make sure that they represent that in their product. But it's really no different to tech. So 3 things that they did: they focused on family, they motivated with mentorship, and they revolutionized their recruitment. Some things that you can do. Do you or your company have pathways in place to see themselves in the company, women in the company, for more than 5 years? Have you asked anyone? Are you promoting and providing mentorship for your employees to grow and develop within the company? And are you prepared to revolutionize the way you are recruiting people, the way you are marketing yourself to both men and women, the way you're training your hiring managers, or on unconscious bias and ensuring there's a woman in the room, and enforcing the one woman policy for leadership positions, even if the candidates don't think they are ready. Because when you become a better place for women to work, you become a better place for everybody to work. And that's me.
That was fantastic, Toni. Thank you very much for that. I think there's a definite lot of lessons noting the way cybersecurity is focused and the amount of people there, and bringing some of those things in. I note that I think it was Mark Eldo said that, and it was one of the comments you sort of made, where changes to these things in the long term don't only just affect women, but they affect men as well. So the increase of paternity leave for men is something that is a definite example that you see that coming through, and everyone gets it, and it's an increase for everyone, and it changes the culture for everyone. So it's really important to have these things and try and take these lessons forward.
Cool. And I just want to say that for anyone out there who hasn't done a presentation yet, who hasn't gone to a conference, get out there, do it. You have something that is relatable. I just related snowboarding to tech. You can do it too.
100% agree. We've had some really good talks about things that, you know, they're not traditional tech talks, but that doesn't mean they're not relevant to all of us. So thank you very much again for that.
Awesome.
No worries.